much. And one is to welcome you to Demystifying the IELTS Myths webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining us from across the world. We are delighted to welcome you to our webinar today on IELTS, the International English Language Testing System, as we gather to explore the significance of IELTS in opening doors to global opportunities, more so in education, employment, and migration. We know that IELTS is not just a test, it's a bridge to our dreams, our inspirations, our aspirations. Recognized by over 10,000 organizations worldwide, including universities, employers, and immigration authorities, IELTS plays a crucial role in helping individuals demonstrate the English language proficiency. This week, the world celebrated IELTS Day, a day dedicated to acknowledge the impact of IELTS on millions of lives across the world. It is a statement, or rather it is a testament to the power of language in connecting people to do more and be more across borders and cultures. In this webinar, we will delve into various aspects of IELTS, from understanding the test format to effective preparation strategies. We have an experienced speaker who I will be introducing later. Additionally, we will address and demystify some of the common myths about IELTS. Many misconceptions have been created, unnecessary anxiety and confusion amongst test makers. Our goal in this webinar today is to provide clarity and confidence by dispelling the myths and offering you accurate, helpful information. Before I speak, or rather I turn the mic over to our speaker today, and also before I introduce her, I would want to acknowledge that we have CMTI, that is Clinical Mastery Training Institute, is hosting this event today, and we will have Rogers welcome us to the session. Karibu sana, Rogers.
Thank you very much, Jackie, and good morning, everybody. On behalf of Clinical Mastery Training Institute, and on behalf of the principal, Ms. Charity Iya, we would like to welcome each and every one of you for this particular session. We don't take it for granted for actually creating time within your busy schedule just to attend to this particular session. And we hope that you're going to pick 1 or 2, 3 points from this particular session, so that at least now you can be able to just try to answer some of the questions that you had concerning the English proficiency and more so the IELTS. So we look forward for the presentation. So back to you, Jackie, so that at least the session can go on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Roger. To introduce Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a dynamic supply chain professional who has transitioned into the role of IELTS instructor, having attended both level 1 and 2 global IELTS teachers training session. Elizabeth has acquired mastery in all sections of the IELTS test, both in academic and general tests. She's a certified British Council IELTS trainer. She's currently on her final journey towards becoming an IELTS examiner. She boasts of a wealth of experience in managing the entire IELTS spectrum exam operations, having been in the field for 7 years now. On top of that, she has managed to develop customized study plans tailored to individual study needs and is familiar with the latest exams format and scoring. Scoring criteria. Through her prowess and proven record of a high pass rate, she has garnered several awards of recognition thus far from the British Council. With a round of virtual applause, let us welcome Elizabeth. I also take this opportunity to encourage each member who is present to engage and ask questions to make the most of this opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to an enlightening and productive session. Karibu sana, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Jackie, for the wonderful introduction. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome us all into this session. My name is Elizabeth Kamadi, and it's an honor to have all of you on board. So we are looking into IELTS and the several myths and misconceptions that have come around this English proficiency exam. I know most of us have heard about IELTS from your colleagues, from your friends, from your family members. And there are 2-3 aspects that you have captured from them, which may be true or untrue. So today we are actually going to demystify or clarify those myths and misconceptions that have been brought up by so many people, especially those that have maybe done IELTS and maybe missed it the first time or failed the first time. So we are here today to actually try to clarify all the myths that come along relating to the IELTS section. So welcome on board, everyone, and we look forward to have an interactive session with all of us. So before we begin our session, I'd like us to take a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, to scan this QR code. There are a few questions for us. I'd like us to take part in this survey just before we begin our session. So we could have 1 to 2 minutes. I believe you guys have a QR code in your phones.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Yeah, so you could kindly scan this code and try to participate in this survey. 2 minutes for us. Thank you. For those of us that are not able to scan, maybe we could use the link on the chat box. Mercy, you could please share. One more minute. I believe we are done. Brenda, could you please have the feedback maybe?
Sorry, I think I've shared a minute. Yeah, I believe everyone can see it.
Yeah, we are able to see it, Brenda. Thank you. Yeah, I just needed to get your responses on the same, just to find out whether we have any knowledge concerning IELTS. So we are having our first question, which is the different types of IELTS available. I can see some of us have mentioned level 1 and level 2. Okay, level 1, level 2. All right. That's new. IELTS general and computer-based. Okay. All right. Academic and general. That's a good one. We're having the sections that people find difficult. Speaking section tops the list. Why? I thought most of us would go for writing or maybe reading. This is quite interesting. What was the second question, Brenda? Please scroll. Oh, the validity of the IELTS certificate. So I needed to find this kind of response from you guys so that I know where to delve or to measure in during my presentation. So we are having two types. Someone is asking for the screen to be enlarged. Brenda, maybe you could. Okay, let's get into our first question. And I'd like us to have a very interactive session here. So we are looking for the different types of IELTS. I've seen someone mention level 1 and level 2, which I don't think is the correct answer. I think the levels are meant for teachers, but if you're a candidate, what kind of IELTS are you supposed to take? Or what types of IELTS do we have? I can see Mercy. Allow me put you on the limelight and let us know what types of IELTS are available.
Academic and general.
Academic and general IELTS, brilliant. So what's the difference between academic and general IELTS? Who does academic IELTS and who does the general IELTS? Maybe someone else could respond to that if you have a clue. Now that I'm a teacher, I will be able to pinpoint guys to respond. I can see Kamoiro. What's your thoughts?
My thought is for those ones who maybe going for work and going for study, they are supposed to do academic, but those ones who are going for any other person, they can do general IELTS test.
All right. Any other person? All right. Okay. Rogers?
I want to echo whatever Camilo has mentioned. So we have got, I think, students and anybody else who would want to go for maybe work-related stuff. I think so.
Okay. Okay. Someone is trying. This is Junior Ogada. Academic is meant for people going to further their education, while the general test is meant for work. Yeah, you're right. So we are having the academic test specifically meant for study, but if you are in the healthcare profession, say you're a nurse or a doctor, then you will need to do the academic test, whether you're going for study or work. That is specifically for the healthcare professionals, apart from caregivers. But if you're a nurse or a doctor and you want to migrate to any English-speaking country, then it means that you will have to do the academic test. The general test is done by any other professional who is looking to go abroad for work. There's another test called the IELTS UKVI, which is specifically done by individuals going to the United Kingdom. You only do that test if the institution you're going to has specified that you do the particular exam. It's not any different from the academic and the general tests, but the difference comes in during the administration of the exams. You find that the UKVI test is videoed, is a videoed exam, and the measures taken or the security features are too tight when doing the UKVI exam. And by doing this UKVI test, you are actually able to secure your visa as fast as possible. And this is only meant for individuals going to the United Kingdom. All right. On to our second question. We were looking at the validity of the IELTS certificate. How long do you think this certificate is valid? I can see Josephine. You could please respond if you are able to. 2 years. Roger says 2 years. Josephine?
Two years.
Yes, 2 years. You only have 2 years to boast with your IELTS certificate. So even if you're going to UK, for example, you're leaving for UK this month, this is 2024. By the year 2026, your IELTS certificate will have expired. That means if you're in the UK and would like maybe to further your education or get an employment somewhere else, or maybe to the US or any other country, it means that you'll have to renew your IELTS certificate by redoing the exam again. So most of the people have been asking this question, and that is actually clarified. On the sections, okay, we are looking at the sections that people find difficult. And the speaking section actually tops the list. Maybe if someone could just let me know why you think the speaking section is difficult, or why you find it a bit complex. Or why you think it is difficult. One person? Because I can see a good number of you. Okay.
Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence.
Mm.
Okay. Any other reason? So is it that lack of confidence makes the speaking exam difficult, or it's the test itself that it's difficult? Okay. Any other person? One more person?
I can say that probably maybe we would want to talk like them. Would that
Okay.
make sense? Yeah.
All right. Or you want to swallow words? You want to sound like an American?
Sure.
Yeah, that could be another reason. Any other person? Last person? Why do you find the speaking section difficult?
Sometimes you've been prompt with the question, maybe you lack a reasoning capability for that response, and that's why you just fail. You'll be left without answering that question, and sometimes even the examiner might be too fast for the question and doesn't give you, he or she doesn't give you the time to respond to the question that he or she has asked.
Okay. Yeah, I think what makes the speaking section quite difficult for most candidates is the fact that you're having random questions from varied topics. And no one actually prepares you for a topic that they're going to ask you. So you actually need to prepare so well before you get to your speaking exam. And most candidates have been asking, do I really need to practice or to be in a coaching session or in a class before I do the IELTS exam? You definitely need to be in one, because you need someone to coach you. You cannot just fall into an exam room and expect to score well, especially in a speaking test. You're having 15 minutes, but the 15 minutes could be 2 hours if actually you're not able to express yourself or come up with ideas during the 15 minutes. So of course, we will be looking at all these issues as we proceed, but I'd like to assure you guys that the speaking section is actually the simplest of all the 4 sections in the IELTS exam. But of course, as we proceed, and maybe when you guys are able to join the classes or of course our training program, we will be able to delve deeper into those issues. Now back into our topic of discussion today. Thank you for participating. So we are looking at demystifying IELTS myths, but before we get there, I'd like us to have a brief overview about the IELTS exam. So what is IELTS? Of course, this is an acronym for International English Language Testing System. And so those that have been asking me, I have been in a class, I have been in an English class for 20 years. Why do I need to do English again? Then my answer for you today is, this is an international exam. So it might not be the same as the English that we maybe learned in high school or primary school. So there are a few basics that you need to learn as a candidate before getting into an IELTS exam room. So this is a standardized and generally accepted English language evaluation test for study abroad and global mobility. As we said, you can actually use this test for study, for immigration, and for work. If you just want to go visit your spouse in the UK, you'll still have to do IELTS, but your IELTS is a bit different from the rest. There's a type of IELTS called IELTS Life Skills. So if you just want to move abroad for 2 months, 3 months, then you'll have to be tested on your speaking and listening skills. And as we said, it's globally recognized. your IELTS certificate is recognized globally. This is actually what makes IELTS different from the other language proficiency exams like OET, TOEFL, Duolingo, and the rest. If you have an IELTS certificate, you stand a greater chance as compared to having maybe a Duolingo certificate. Unless the institution has specified that you really need to do Duolingo, or you need to see a TOEFL certificate or something like that, then just do IELTS, because IELTS is broad. You can actually do quite a lot with an IELTS certificate. Let's proceed, Brenda. Of course, we have talked about the purpose of IELTS. We are looking to assess your reading, listening, and writing, speaking skills, as well as your ability to use English to learn, to work, and reside in an English-speaking nation. So if you're doing the writing section, of course, if you're going to be working, you're going to be a nurse manager in the United Kingdom, you'll need to write reports, or you'll need to hold conversations, or you'll need to make presentations. And now that this is an English-speaking country, we are just evaluating your ability to communicate, to speak, to read, to write in the English language. That's the purpose of IELTS. So those that have been asking, why do I really need to do IELTS? That's the answer. You know, we are trying to find out if you're proficient enough for you to come here. We don't want to struggle having you around. That's the reason why you need to do IELTS. Okay, let's proceed. As we've said, we're having the two types of IELTS that I've mentioned, the academic and general IELTS. So before you actually take any IELTS test, please make sure that you understand the kind of exam that you're required to take. I've seen so many candidates doing the academic test while they were required to do the general one. Or you're doing the UKVI and you're planning to go to Canada, you know? So make sure that you have done your research. And by the end of this session, I believe you will be able to tell what kind of exam you're supposed to take as an individual. So a few differences between the general and academic test. Of course, as I've mentioned earlier, the academic test is meant for study, with an exception of professional, healthcare professionals, that is nurses and doctors. Then we are having the general test, which is a bit simpler as compared to the academic test. That's why you'll find it, you always find that nurses have a difficult time trying to achieve the required band score. And their band scores are actually so high. If you're a nurse, sorry, sorry for being a nurse. But the general test is really very simple, and you can actually make it right the first time. So if you're looking to go for study, you're an engineer, you are a pilot, you're in the education field or whatever, then it means that you're going to do IELTS General. But if you're going for further studies, then you'll have to do the academic test. Okay, let's move on.
I think someone had raised their hand.
Okay.
Junior.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just a quick question. Regarding the IELTS test.
Yes.
This is my thinking that you could do the test and pass very well, but upon reaching there, it becomes a bit difficult for you to consistently communicate or be proficient in the language, because passing a test and doing practically are two different things. Because vitu kwa ground ni tofauti. You are very good at passing in the academics, but sasa practicing it is quite a task. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to agree with you on that. But of course, your main aim is to pass the test and move abroad. After some time, you'll actually acclimatize and be able to communicate effectively after some time. But now that we need you to pass this test and achieve your dream of moving away from Kenya, yeah, so we just need you to do well in your test. Then communication is an everyday learning process, of course. As you get there, you'll meet people with different accents, different whatever. But what matters is, do you understand what the test requires? What are the test requirements? Let me pass this test first, then I can. Of course, when you're going to a new environment, you'll have to learn what others are doing. If you're going to Rome, you do what Romans do. Of course, maybe how I speak in Kenya is not the same way other people speak in any other English-speaking country. And after some time, I will be able to speak like them. So that should not be a worry. As long as you are able to understand the test requirements and achieve your required band scores. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What
Yeah.
do caregivers do from the two categories?
Caregivers are required to do the general test.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay, you can proceed. So every organization sets its own entry requirements. In some cases, both academic or general training may be accepted in some cases, but not all cases. So just find out your reason for traveling, and then purpose to do the right type of IELTS. Remember, we are charging the charges for the IELTS exam are a bit expensive at the moment. We are at around 38,000. So do not make any mistake at your preparation stage. Make sure you are doing the correct or the right type of IELTS. So we are testing you on all the 4 language skills, which is listening, reading, writing, and speaking, unless you have an exemption due to a disability. Of course, if you're having a disability, you might not be able to do something like speaking. Yes, but generally everyone takes the same listening and speaking tests. There's no difference in the listening and speaking tests for both academic and general tests, but the difference is in the reading and writing sections. That's what makes the difference between the academic and the general training. You can go on. So this is the allocated time for the test. Of course, we are having 30 minutes for the listening exam. It's actually 40, but the test runs for 30 minutes. Then the 10 minutes are for transferring your answers to maybe the answer sheet. The reading test takes an hour. Writing section is also 1 hour. And the speaking test takes roughly 15 minutes. So when you're doing your IELTS exam, you'll have to do the speaking test prior. It's done 1 day or 2 days before the main exam. So we are timing the listening, reading, and writing sections under, or we are putting them under the main exam. Then the speaking test is done prior. This is because you're actually having a one-on-one conversation or one-on-one interview with the examiner. That's why it's not practically possible for individuals to take part in the speaking or in all the sessions in 1 day. And you can actually do a video call or a one-on-one speaking exam. All of them are the same, nothing is different. So this is the scoring and assessment band score chart for the IELTS exam. So the maximum band score that you can actually achieve is the band 9. That means you're an expert user. But mostly, most organizations would require you to at least have a band 7, especially for nurses and people going for study. You know, most academic institutions would require you to have at least a band 7 as your overall grade. So in case you're doing your IELTS exam and you fail a section, let's say listening section, then it means that you'll have to redo the entire test. There are only 2 sections that are remarked in the IELTS exam. That is the writing and speaking sections. But that's not a guarantee that you'll actually get to your required score. You have an option of appealing for remarking, but under rare circumstances will you find an additional score in your results. So be very keen as you're doing your IELTS exam for you to actually achieve the required scores for each section. As much as we would need you to have an overall of a band 7, you're required to achieve the required scores for each sections. Okay. Now, let's get into our theme for this webinar. We are trying to look at the different myths about the listening, not listening, but the IELTS test. People are actually coming up with their philosophies, you know. There's a lot going on concerning this IELTS test. But today I wanted just to clarify these myths so that at least you're working from a point where you know what is right and what is wrong, or what do you require as a candidate. So myth number 1 is that you need British and American accents to score well. You need British and American accents to score well. If that was it, then most of us would not have done well in IELTS. What about the many Africans that have moved abroad? Do they have the American and British accent really? Some of us are struggling with the Kikuyu accents and the Luya accents, but we still make it. So this is actually a myth. You only need to speak clearly. And you're always saying that your pronunciation is what matters when it comes to IELTS, especially when you're doing your speaking exam. how clear are your responses? Can I get what you're saying? Just like you guys are getting me. That's all. You actually don't need to swallow your words or anything. Just be natural as possible when you're doing your IELTS exam. We are saying that while it's true that the test originated in the UK and commonly uses British spellings and conventions, it accepts both British and American accents. And of course, when we meet in class, we will be able to look at the nitty-gritties involved in the spellings and pronunciation of different words or even letters when it comes to IELTS, especially in the listening bit of the test. So you actually don't need to have any British or American accent. Be as natural as you are. Okay, the next myth is that the IELTS preparation is only about language skills. Okay, yes, we are looking at your strong language skills, of course, as we are assessing you for IELTS, but you getting a deeper understanding of the test requirements and management of time are equally critical. Because take an example of a reading test. You have 3 passages and you're required to complete this passage within an hour. Are we still testing language skills there? Or even in the speaking test, as you're responding to questions, of course, we are asking you questions from varied topics. We need you to have diverse knowledge on different issues, on politics, environment, education, etc. So it is not only about language. You just don't need to understand language. You are supposed to be wholesome as you're doing your IELTS exam. It is not necessarily about the language skills. Language is important. That is the #1 aspect, but there are also other key aspects that need to be put into consideration as you're doing your IELTS exam. Even the listening section, you're not testing your language skills, you're testing your concentration. Can you concentrate for 30 minutes? Can you follow instructions? You know, very basic factors involved. So it's not necessarily all about language. Okay, another myth that we have is that some people say that the higher the score, the better the English. Do you think that's the case? The higher the score, the better the English, or the better the English, the higher the score. Junior or Gada, what do you think?
I think they're just echoing my point. You could just pass the exams,
Yeah.
which is indicative of you've understood what was asked of you in the exam, or rather the
Yes.
test. And you could pass it just by cramming. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've internalized it, but the real test is actually practicing it. But it's not a sign that you've really you are so good at it.
Yes.
Or rather, better simply because you've passed with the highest mark possible.
Exactly. So the scores that we are giving you in the IELTS exam are only indicative of proficiency levels appropriate for academic and migration purposes. There are those who require a band 5, a band 4, a band 6, you know, and there are those who score a band 9. So it's not a matter of English or language perfection. If you're able to meet the requirements according to the proficiency levels that are set, then you're good to go. It's not a matter of I do not have prowess, or I do not have some good lingual prowess, so I'm not able to do IELTS, you know, those things that you guys keep saying. We are looking at your ability to understand. What does this test require? Do I meet these qualifications? Can I communicate? Can I read and find answers? Can I write following the correct or proper structure that has been put in place? Then I'm good to go. So it's not about language perfection. So no one should lie to you that hata hujui kuongea Kizungu, you know, you're not fluent, you're not nini, you cannot do IELTS. That's wrong. That's a myth, actually. And then the other myth that we have is that IELTS is more difficult than any other language proficiency exams. Do you think so? Do you have anyone who has done any other English proficiency exam here? Maybe Duolingo or TOEFL or PTE or ET? Anybody? From what people say, it is harder. Yeah, that's what people say. Actually, that's what people say. But for a fact, IELTS is the easiest of all. If you commit to understand the basics of the test, then you can actually do well in IELTS as compared to any other tests like TOEFL and OET or even PTE. So this the difficulty in any test can be subjective and varies depending on an individual's mastery of the English language. All these tests are testing your mastery in the English language. So it really doesn't matter which test you do. And we are not saying that the other tests are not important, but the IELTS test is actually very simple if you commit yourself to doing it. There are tests like OET, which is a bit simple because it's a professional exam. If you're a nurse or a doctor, you're doing this test because it relates to your daily life activities. It's an occupational English test. So it means that you are relating with the information that is being presented, but we are just trying to incorporate language into your profession. So at the end of the day, we are still looking for your language proficiency in all these tests. So none is more difficult than the other, as long as you are able to understand the basic requirements for each test. Another myth that we have is you do not need any prior preparation before taking the IELTS test. You guys can remember very well that during who was the previous cabinet secretary for health during Uhuru's time? Mutahi Kagwe, yes. So you can during Mutahi Kagwe's period, Kenya signed a bilateral agreement with the UK for nurses to go and work. And what was the requirement? An IELTS certificate. So what happened? The government decides to usher these guys into an exam room. Almost 3,000 nurses, and only 3 out of 3,000. I don't think that is even 1%, were able to pass the test. Not actually passing, but they are almost closer to the mark, you know? So it is not a matter of you knowing English. Yes, I can communicate. You know, I can talk in English. You know, I interact with people every day, every time, and all that. Yes, that's true. But again, you need preparation time for you to do what? To do your IELTS exam. Because there are basics for the listening section, there are basics for speaking, there are different ways you're supposed to respond. There are ways you're not supposed to respond in a speaking exam. You need to know what, there's a part called part 0. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do in part 1? What kind of answers am I supposed to give? What's the length of the answers? You know, if you do not have that knowledge prior, then what happens? You fail. So it is very important for you to get the basics that you need to master as a candidate before sitting for an exam. And that is why we always offer trainings for candidates, so that you just sit for your exam the first time and you're done with it, having all the basics in mind. Another myth: if I take the test in my country, I can score higher. What do you think? If I take this test in Kenya, or if I'm a Somali, I should go back to Somali. Is it any way related? Me doing my test in Kenya other than doing it from Ghana or South Africa? Not at all. So your final score is not dependent on the location of the test center at all. All examiners are guided by a uniform marking criteria. So whether you're in Kenya, you're in Rwanda, you're in South Africa, you're in the UK, we'll still score you as a candidate and not someone that is anywhere else or something like that. Studying right before the test will significantly improve your score. That's a backward mentality, actually. You remember what we were doing in high school and maybe primary school? You're trying to cram, or you're trying to capture all the information that is possible. Even in campus, you're trying to capture all the information 2 days or a day before your exam so that you score well. That does not work with IELTS. Of course, we're saying that while last-minute study can refresh key concepts, real improvement is a result of consistent and long-term preparation. So you need to practice and practice and practice and practice so that you're able to polish up on your skills and master the correct structure for the IELTS exam. So it is not a matter of last-minute preparation. I only have 2 days. Let me just get an off from work. My exam is on Saturday. So this is a Thursday. I think Thursday and Friday, on Thursday, I'll be able to look at speaking and listening. Then on Friday, I'll be looking at writing and reading. And I'll be good, you know? Yeah. You need to constantly practice. Constantly practice. Constantly practice. Then you'll be able to score well in your IELTS exam. And then exam tricks boost your score. Of course, exam tricks are good. They're there to guide us or to help us know what to expect or what to do during the test and all that. But the fact is that your band score. Your band score. Okay, someone is asking a question about practice. How long does it take to practice? That depends on you as a candidate. What's your level of mastery? Are you a fast learner or do you need time, you know? So it actually depends with you as an individual. If I'm able to capture information as fast as possible, then I can take 2-3 weeks to prepare for my IELTS exam. If I still need time, I can take 1 month, 5 weeks to prepare for the test before I'm able to sit for the test. So that totally depends on you as a person. There are skills that would be actually a piece of cake for you. For example, the listening test and maybe the speaking part. Then you have these hard nuts to crack, like the writing and reading sections, which will need more time. So it actually depends on you. And the more you do it, or the more you write, the more you speak, the more you listen, the more you score also at the end of your exam. Then we are saying the lengthier, this is another one. The lengthier the essay, the higher the score. The lengthier the essay, the higher the score. For those that have done writing before, what is the required length for your essay? Anyone? Okay, how many words?
For example, task 1, you require to have not less than 150 word, and for task 2, you require to have not at least 450 words.
150 words for task 1, 250 words for task 2. So some candidates would say, if I'm going to write 400 words for my task 2, I'm telling you the examiner will, you know, we are not in any way trying to award you marks for the length of your essay or your report. What matters is, have you met the test requirements? Are you answering the actual question? Are you within the marking parameters that we are looking at? How's your vocabulary? How's your grammar? How's your coherence? You know, those are things that we are actually looking at. So I can see Junior, you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually new to all this, so I'm learning everything from scratch.
Okay.
I'm curious the AC part. Do you get us to write about a certain topic, or how does it work?
Yes, we're actually giving you a topic and you're supposed to discuss this topic. Let's say, let me give an example. Drug abuse has become so rampant among the young people these days. Then our thesis statement says, what are some of the reasons for this? Could you suggest some possible solutions? So that is what? A problem-solving question. We want you to solve that question. What are the problems associated with this? What are the solutions? Or what are the causes and what are the solutions? So in this case, we want you to answer those causes and solutions. It's not a matter of me writing 5 pages or 2 pages. You could write 2 pages, but you're out of context, you know? So make sure that you are understanding what the test requires. What number of paragraphs do I need to have? You know, what comes in paragraph 1? What in paragraph 2 and all that? How is my introduction? What about my conclusion? What about my body paragraphs? That's what matters. It's not about the length of your essays. Some people say that you need advanced vocabulary and a lot of idiomatic expressions to achieve a band 9. That's not the reality. So you don't need to actually be obsessed with big words or jargon. Some candidates, you actually learn a word and you want to actually use it anywhere, anytime, you know? Be as natural as possible. Just be you. If you do not really know the meaning of a word, why would you use it? If you have an idiomatic expression that you actually do not understand, why do you want to use it? You know? So some people will fool you and tell you that you actually need a lot of them for you to score well. That's not the reality. Another myth that we have is you do not need any prior preparation. That I think we talked about that. Using a template for writing an essay can help big time. Not at all. Not at all. You actually just need to read authentic materials and be able to do what? Practice so that you're able to do well. If the examiner stops you in a speaking exam, you are doomed. So some of us go to the speaking exam thinking you're so afraid, you know, what if I run out of points? What next? You know, you need to be as calm as possible. We are talking about composure. How composed are you? How well are you able to bring up what? Your points? And there are sections that are timed. For example, part 2 of the speaking test requires you to speak for 2 minutes. So what if the 2 minutes elapse? The speaker is at liberty to stop you. So that's actually part of the test. So no one should lie to you that once the speaker stops you during the speaking exam, that's it. That's actually a myth. If I do not understand a question during the speaking exam, I will lose marks. That's not the case. The examiner will always repeat the question, and you're at liberty also to request for clarity. You can't actually answer a question that you do not understand. So you are always allowed to ask the examiner to come up again. They might not actually refresh the question for you, but they might come up again and you will be able to do what? To catch up. Face-to-face exams are better than video exams? Not at all. You'll find that during the exam, you're only having video calls available or face-to-face exams available. So will you say that you're not going to do the exam because it's a video exam? Not at all. So in your speaking exam, we are looking at your communication ability and your lingual prowess. That's what defines your score, regardless of the exam format that you are actually taking. And the final myth is that, this is the elephant in the room, cheating is possible in IELTS. So many candidates will call you and tell you, Aki, naweza lipia kitu tu nifanyie bona. You know, you guys, you understand? Or can I find someone to do this exam for me? I don't think I understand English well, or I'm not confident about this. It's actually impossible. It is not possible to cheat in IELTS. Given the stringent security measures that are put during the exam, you are actually not able to do what? To cheat in an exam. So just prepare well and do your exam. I think that's it. Maybe I'll take the mic back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was one mind-blowing session. I was taking notes, and a number of myths. I must admit, I was one of the victims. Yes. So thank you so much, guys. I know a number of you have been asking questions, and I believe that the same has been answered. And if you really wish to share some pointers, you can as well throw them on the chat box. We will be moderating the same. Allow me to introduce my colleague, Mr. Andere, to share the closing remarks, as he also gives a teaser on who CMTI is, our offerings. I know a number of you have requested, they wanted to know what is it the caregivers do, or maybe you can as well benefit from our CMTI Institute. Over to you, Andere.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Elizabeth. I think this has been quite the informative session. I think first of all, as we wrap up, I'd like to go with an initial approach of thanking everyone for the participation and the engagement, especially Junior, Tony, Toyin, Rogers. The participation and engagement has been top tier. Also, Elizabeth, thank you very much for the very detailed session. I think you busted quite a few of the myths. Now we actually have the clarity, and the misconceptions we had in mind, I think, have been dispelled. And I feel like the people on the call now are actually ready to sign up and actually undertake the IELTS exam as it is. I, for one, feel very ready. I think when it comes to, I like that you've reminded us of one Mr. Mutai Kagwe, as he said, when it comes to the IELTS certificate, you can get it, I can get it, and everyone else can get it. So even as we proceed, I think we now have full clarity. You have dispelled the misconceptions we had. And I believe we should be getting sign-ups now for people to actually undertake this exam. As highlighted, preparation is key, as you mentioned. The composure is also key, and not to focus on the location where you're doing it from, but just focus on preparation before taking the IELTS exam, and focus on getting full composure, being composed, and actually having the confidence to undertake it as we go on. Don't let the myths you had and the misconceptions you had hold you back. And I believe if you undertake the IELTS course with us at CMTI Institute, you should be able to now get the 9-band score as it is. I think, Jackie, it would be prudent for me to actually leave it at IELTS as it is, because that was, as I said, the key focus for this particular webinar, and to actually encourage each one of you to reach out to us in the event you have additional questions that might not have been addressed, and get on board and sign up, and let's get the IELTS certificates rolling out. Thank you once again for joining us, and all the best of luck in your IELTS exams. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much for this session.
Asante sana, Andere. For those that wish to contact us, you can send us an email on info@cmtiinstitute.co.ke. You can visit our website, that is www.cmtiinstitute.co.ke. If you wish to make a physical visit, we are on first floor, Parkfield Building, along Mudhangari Drive, Westlands. Karibuni sana, and I wish you guys a lovely and insightful day. Asante.
Thank you, Jackie. Before we log out, I think Mercy can share a post-webinar link which people can share their responses, and then we'll be able to pick up from there.
Okay, thank you so much. Kindly. Yes, Junior, we can as well send you a presentation. We can send the link to you via email. What you just need to do, just send us your email address, and our team will be sending the team will be sending the recording to you. If anyone maybe has a question or If anyone has a question, maybe you can as well reach out to us. Our team is always present to support you. My apologies for that. Thank you for joining us today. Honestly, this was one insightful webinar, and we're learning about IELTS and its importances. Your participation and engagement has truly been valuable to us. We hope that this information shared to you has provided clarity and has helped you build and demystify some of the common myths surrounding IELTS. As we also join the world in celebrating the IELTS week, I wish to take this opportunity to say asanteni sana for creating time for joining us, and you're most welcome to our institute to learn more and be empowered to be more and do more. Asanteni and have a blessed day.
Bye.